Okay, so as we have introduced ourselves, and thank you once again, everybody, for joining this panel discussion. So now, Professor Sanjeeva Rao, you can give some comments, introductory comments on this topic.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Crescendo for inviting me to this panel discussion. Yeah, as a professional from rail industry, this has been now very important area. We from railways looking for various solutions to our pain points. Since we are already into using lot of variety of sensors in the IoT, in a very staggered way, are scattered across the field, but we are still in the process to establish and integrate to find out various solutions. Uh, and once you start generating a lot of data, that comes to analytics and developing models and finding out a solution. So we are from railways, we are looking at the data generated by the various applications developed by our own organization, Chris. And now we are working on various models to find out solutions to our pain points. Probably this is a good occasion and rightly scheduled to discuss and also take a view from industry participants like Pankaj, and who can also add a lot of inputs to it to make it practical and approach integrating both industry and railways.
Okay. So now, like Mr. Prasad, you can start give some comments on this topic, some introductory comments.
At the outset, let me thank Crescendo for having me today on this panel. This is a very important topic and is a very current topic which interests everybody. So it has got two aspects to it. One is the generalist aspect, that what exactly is railways got to do with artificial intelligence, IoT, or big data, machine learning, and so on. And second part is how railways is already harnessing it. So first, let me give a perspective of the macro side. You see the total budget which I just came across, which is the government of India, the private sector, MSMEs, all the stakeholders allocate for R&D purposes is about to the tune of almost 55,000 crores per annum. I'm talking about the sum total. The ecosystem is having this much of funds, a huge amount of money. And now, if you ask me what exactly is the railways portion or railways proportion on this total budget of allotment available, is approximately, it's also quite good, because you see the railway system, apart from organizations like CRIS, IRCTC, the railways, various manufacturing units, this RDSO and so on, it comes to almost, if you see the proportion spent on R&D, of course, here I also include the staff costing, it comes to almost 2,000 to 2,500 crores, which is not bad. It's approximately 3% of the total R&D budget which the entire country spends. And if you include the other parts of the railway ecosystem, the MSMEs and all our vendors and other stakeholders, the CSI, everybody, if you put together, then the amount of money which is going into the railways today, I'm talking of today, is to almost the tune of 5% of the total R&D spending in this country. It's a significant amount. So now, when you are spending so much money on augmenting your IT resource system ecosystem in the country, in the major transportation sector, you certainly deserve a good return on this investment. That's the primary question which we all have to appreciate and understand. So the issue here is, are we getting it or not? Well, the short and answer to this is that yes, we are getting, we shall get, and we will be getting. In the sense that all IT projects in this country and everywhere in the world are generally long gestation projects. They take time for the project to take off. There will be some few failures, and we have to live with the failures. And then the people will mature. It's a typical, the typical bathtub curve, so to speak. So the takeoff, now we are, if you, analogy which I can I can share with my viewers is that this is almost akin to an aeroplane, on the runway. It's gathering the momentum. The systems are almost in place, and now you should just wait to ensure that the takeoff is smooth. We are almost at that stage in this country. So I see a very bright future for IT in railways. Railways here is a very, very omnibus term. It includes not only the Indian railways, of which I am one of the one of the stakeholders, direct stakeholder, being a member of the railway service, but also the metro systems, the other railway systems in the coal sector, in the coal sidings, the ports. So it's a huge area out there, and I would like to assure all the viewers who are watching us on this panel discussion that we are ready for takeoff, if not already taken off. And I can assure you that we are in the process of introducing all the aspects of industry 4, not only industry 4.0, but now I would like to
Industry
add
5.
industry 5.0
Yes,
in
yes.
our railways, which would basically personalization of digitization, so to speak. So we are really, it's a very exciting times to live in, and I only wish I was 20 years younger.
Correct.
So on that note, I think we can set this topic further.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now to take Prasad's point of view, if you want to figure out where exactly the railways are in need of these IoT or AI-based solutions, you can segregate like, yeah, we do invest a lot of money in infrastructure, and there is a huge requirement for the IoT-based solutions. For train operations, yeah, we need, because we are putting a lot of CCTVs even in coaches and making Wi-Fi available to the onboard passengers, and we are catering to many other services. And asset maintenance also, the fixed asset maintenance, when you take signaling system and P-ways and OH network, all these asset maintenance management also need IoT-based and AI-based solutions. Yeah. Thank you. Over
Yeah.
to Pankaj.
Yeah. Over. Pankaj ji, you can.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Crescendo team for giving me an opportunity to be a part of a STEAM panel discussion with the experts like Mr. Prasad and Mr. Rao. Uh, in order to set the tone, my observations for this event is that railway is the backbone of the country, especially India, with such a huge demographic people and everything widespread and the largest network in the world. So railway is the backbone for the country, and it's the need of the hour that we augment this thing. The tone for this thing was set in the past 7 to 10 years. We have seen that digitization has been the main agenda for the government of India now, and it started from that era. And people are now really adopting the digital technologies. The younger generations are very well adaptive, and they are learning at a very fast pace how the technology works, and they are quite, you can say, efficient or far better in terms of performance, in terms of learning capacity about the technologies and everything. The recent example I would like to cite over here is that because of COVID, we have seen how people adopted the technology at ease. So now technology is in our day-to-day routine. And coming back to the railways, and when we say artificial intelligence, we are all surrounded by data. And in the past, you can say that 7 to 10 years or a decade, we have gathered a lot of data. Now it's time to analyze that data, put it into efficiently use. And the examples which I would like to cite over here is that compared to a conventional Indian Railways network, we have a lot of running metro operations in the country. And now moving on to semi-high speed as well as the bullet train concept being introduced to the Indian people, we can see this analysis is going to help the people of the country drastically using or increasing the efficiencies, improving the performances, all those aspects it's going to bring on the table. So now it's time for us to adapt to that and jump forward as set by Mr. Prasad that it's we are ready for the takeoff. We have to just press the throttle to accelerate and take off. I leave the floor now for a healthier discussion going forward. Thank you.
Mm. So I wanted to ask Mr. Prasad, sir, one question is there. In the Bangalore Metro, has the artificial intelligence being used or started being used?
Well, I don't want to specifically discuss Bangalore Metro, but if you insist, yes,
Yeah,
certainly it is being used. We are predicting our scheduling, our timetabling is being done based on whatever inputs we are getting
yeah.
from the feedback from the passengers, and also, as we have discussed, the use of the sensors and applications is huge.
Mhm.
So all our in fact our timetabling is dynamic timetabling. Unlike, it's not a fixed time. For example, if we have a cricket match on,
Mhm.
then automatically we have data with us, as we
Yeah,
have just been told by Mr. Pankaj. The data shows that, this from this time to this time there will be requirement for so many more extra trains, which we certainly run. The what we call the headway is adjusted, and based on the intelligence available with us, we run these services. But
okay.
my point here is on a bigger take, which is not relevant alone to Bangalore Metro, but
Yeah,
all over the transportation sector, particularly with regard to the manufacturing side. That, artificial intelligence, what does it do? It helps you to take a better decision based on the available inputs and all the events which have happened in the past, similar or not so similar, and also which are around the same
yeah,
characteristics. So it gives you that kind of a bandwidth to devise an algorithm to predict, and that's what we call as predictive intelligence, and so on. So your timetabling, scheduling, every other activity gets refined and gets fine tuned. But please do a mind that there is a small caveat to this. The small caveat is that the actual transit time, say from destination A to destination B, will remain the steady, will remain the constant. That will not going to be affected by your artificial intelligence or machine learning or anything. So
okay.
this is one very, very important criterion, which normally, in our enthusiasm to embrace IT, we forget, and policymakers have to be advised
Mm.
very, in a very, very polite, or in a very, proper manner, that this is as much and this is not so far. I hope you get the point. The point is that you can reduce the dead timings, you can reduce the wastages, or what in Japanese they call the muda, but you cannot shorten the process. And any shortening of the process will lead to a disaster, not
Yeah,
only for the IT project per se, but
but
to all other it's got very, very serious consequences.
serious.
This is a point which I wanted to flag at the very beginning, so that our viewers also appreciate that this is an important parameter. So this parameter is extremely important. And yes, machine learning, artificial intelligence, AI is all
But
excellent, but
mm,
please do remember that the process, you have to respect the process. So, for example, in the
we
metro
cannot
concept,
create shortcut for the
you
process.
cannot create a shortcut. The
Yeah,
transit, the actual time which is there for the delivery to take place, will have to be taken into account. This is also in the recent
yeah,
context of all this discussion on the Dunzo and so on apps,
yeah, yeah,
and
true.
the Zomato and Swiggy apps, which we should just, I'm just flagging this point because I think this is also important,
Yeah,
that we
yeah,
should not get too enthused. Because I sensed that in my opening remarks, I had been a little bit over enthusiastic, and now I, with the same gray hair, I'm
the
trying to bring
mix.
in a note of caution here.
Correct,
Thank
correct,
you.
correct, sir, correct. Yeah. So, Mr. Rao, I wanted to ask you the same question in the railways, like what with Prasad I had asked. So, you expand a little more on that?
Yeah, just to link it further, how much government is interested to invest in these solutions.
Yeah.
If you look at a few strategic documents issued by Niti Aayog issued a wonderful strategy document for AI application in various industries. To reserve our discussion for the rail transportation,
Yeah.
rail smart mobility and transportation also one of the major focus area, and subsequently they detailed what are the areas where these uh, solutions can be looked at based on IoT and AI based. And FICCI also in Indian Railways 2.0 issued a subsequent document, apart from Industry 4.0, This speaks a lot about the integration of all these technologies. And coming to the reality, this is what the scope is about in a rail industry, what all you can do. But what exactly happening in Indian railways, the consumption side of the story, yes, we are already into little into artificial intelligence using NLP based solution, natural language processing based solutions like we in the sense I also take inherently Chris as in our own organization which develops a lot of solutions for us. They develop solutions like Ask Disha. We substituted inquiry system with a automatic answering setup, chatbot, what we call it, right?
Gotcha.
And we're also we have installed a lot of cameras in pantry cars, and which are artificial intelligence. That means now camera is able to detect the pantry chef whether he's carrying a headgear, uniform or not, availability of package, rat, hygiene of the surface. Now these things are being automatically detected and being flagged to address it immediately. And now field units also making a lot of efforts to find localized solutions. In few of the zonal railways on their own also they are doing a lot of research and putting on this AI based solution. Somewhere in central railway they are using these computer vision concepts. So basically an artificial intelligence concept. They are trying to record the undergate whenever a train comes into a station, so a person actually looks at its undergear to identify any deviations and broken parts. Now we substituted that with a camera and trying to record, and we are trying to compare and generate triggers if there are any hanging and broken parts. And we're also into like predicting. Nowadays, we Indian Railways also give these chances of ticket confirmation, the feature added feature in the ticketing. In the past, it was only the day of booking you got a wait list 99. Now, as on date, it is 34 or so. But apart from that, now a dynamic prediction is being given, which is a real-time prediction, right? That it gives a little confidence to the passengers because that largely speak about whether you are going to get a confirmed berth or not. These are kind of areas where we are already in, and we are looking for much bigger things in, especially in asset management, train operations, and infrastructure development.
Okay. So, Mr. Pankaj, you can just give your views or about this in RRTS if you are using or the RRTS, are they using the artificial intelligence and IoT?
Uh, Thank you, Mr. Varun. Definitely, RRTS is an upcoming project, and people have a lot of expectations. And I was keenly listening to the points shared by Mr. Prasad and Mr. Rao, and I have noted certain things which I would like to share. Mr. Rao talked about computer vision. So, if I say computer vision means, as per as my understanding, camera is something which is the best thing that we could have got. It captures everything, even the emotions of the people, if you talk about it, and any flaws or on the system. And it really acts as a, you can say that, monitoring tool that somebody is aware that somebody is going to watch. जैसे ऊपर वाला सब देख रहा है. So it not only analyzes the things or gives a sense of security to the person operating over there, but it gives a lot of further information. And with the use of the recent latest softwares, we can analyze that information in detail. Like Mr. Rao has said that using the computer vision, we can track the from the bottom of the railway track the bogies and the engines about the cracks or the faults or some information about that, so that preventive actions can be taken. The objective of using artificial intelligence is to increase efficiency and reduce accidents. With the latest technologies available in user hands, so what has improved a lot is basically the customer experience expectations. So now they expect a lot in terms of what they are getting from the service provider. And that's what we have to match up to. When we travel on the international side, we see the experience is tremendous. People are really happy to see that experience. Whereas back end, at home, we need to yet reach up to the levels where we can say that yes, that experience is very good. As Mr. Rao said, predictability. It gives a sense that okay, I'm sure that at this percentage of level, I'm going to get my ticket confirmation done or not, or else I should plan for or look for an alternative to plan my journey. So these are tremendous things. Now coming back onto the RRTS point, which Mr. Varun has given me, asked me to talk about it. RRTS is implementing a technology solution which is good in terms of speed. So it is going to it, or you can say that it has already set the tone of the users that 80 kilometers I'm going to travel in 55 minutes. So that is the first expectation. Seamless travel integrated with all the modes so that I'm connected once I reach or enter into the Delhi zone. I have the flexible options to travel to my end destination, be it using metro or be using any other mode of connectivity. So that is the user experience which people are setting up in their mind. Now, we can say that it is a proven experience deployed worldwide, and we are just importing that thing or implementing this thing in our country. But in addition to that, I have seen a lot of new features or softwares or technology solutions are being implemented to bring it to the latest level. Now, if I talk about it, one thing is that contactless entry into the gates. So now a user is just simply walking in, people are exploring those options. You need not to go through the hassle of having a security scan or security check at times. So these are the options which people are exploring, whether these can be implemented here or not. Connectivity on the go. You are sitting in a bogie, you are accessing your Wi-Fi, you are accessing the internet connectivity. So within your journey duration of 50-55 minutes, you have the flexibility to even work while sitting in a comfort of a luxury train. So these are the things that people are really looking forward to, and people have really good expectations. So my understanding of AI is and the IoT is that people are really expecting a lot of
Things.
people have a lot of expectations from the industry and the service providers, be it the government of India or the private operators. People are looking forward for the bullet train as well to travel at a speed of 300 plus, something like that. So all those things are going to be a game changer for the industry, and people are really gearing it up, and industry is ready to deliver such projects and opportunities for the country.
Okay.
Over to Mr. Varun.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pankaj. So, Mr. Prasad, I wanted to understand by is this the future of this IoT, AI, and ML? Will the railway transform to a bigger level? Will the railway industry move to a good shape, or a good picture will come?
No, I
Will
think
it?
we all, yeah, that's the answer. The short and simple answer is yes. I think already you're seeing it happening as we have discussed. Your ticketing, the great strides which have been made in your ticketing, you are able to get a predictability as to whether you will be able to travel with a reserved accommodation or not is already happening today. This was not the case earlier. The secondly, the point which Sanjay had made about the maintainability of assets, you'll also appreciate that what has happened on the field, the experience is, it is not only, it is actually bearing results. Touchwood, the accident rate of this Indian Railways itself has significantly improved. Of course, you can, some of you may say that discounted due to COVID and all that, but nevertheless, if you see statistically over the last 10 years, this certainly the great strides made in the reliability and asset availability is humongous. And this has not come overnight without any inputs being given. These inputs are being given. These machine vision cameras are already in position in many of the depots. Our undergear vision cameras are already available. We are able to see. In fact, now we are now going for a very, very ambitious project along with ISRO and all to map the entire track of this country, the
So
entire
will,
track kilometerage by through maybe satellite, using
or
drones, using satellites.
drones will
Yes,
also.
no, not right. It's not only drones alone. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to be there's been a project. It's been the project in the works using ISRO's geosat technology. We are
Yeah.
going to do the entire mapping. Your track, to be known what is happening exactly. We all know as practicing engineers that these track issues normally happen in the early hours in the morning. So we, that intelligence is already built as part of the maintainer. Whatever the maintainers core domain knowledge is there. It is all being captured and it's all being translated into tables, which will pick, which the artificial intelligence will pick up and simulate to the real time guys on the field what they can expect, when they can expect, what can and what, for example, I'll give you a practical example. You are traveling in a coach, and in the undergear we have what is known as a bogie. The coach is where you sit, and the bogie is the portion below the coach. Now,
Okay.
in the bogie, with with the data available with us on what is known as the fatigue growth rates, we can be able to predict when the particular axle or the wheel in a given years is going to fail. This
Failure.
is the amount of predictive intelligence which is going to be in position. So we withdraw that particular coach or the particular wagon or the particular locomotive from service and take it up for repairs, or you take it out for attention in the workshop or sick lines. So this is the kind of asset maintenance, how the humongous, the jump, you see, it is no longer going to be preventive maintenance. Corrective maintenance is all outdated. It's all now going to be predictive maintenance, and predictive maintenance works on the concept of AI.
AI, correct.
So you see how, it's already happening. It's not
So,
that it's
so
already
I
happening.
wanted to understand, sir. So all these things will be pre-entered in the data, or
Yes, see what happens, Mr.
Varun?
Varun, is
Hmm.
that this is a very good point bringing up to flagging here. Data
Yeah.
earlier, in the when the AI and IoT was not well developed, and we didn't
Not
have
developed.
interfaces, data is to reside
Mhm.
in humongous number of tables all over the country.
Mhm.
Now, even if as long as it's, as one of the gentlemen on the panel was saying, that even in an Excel file, which we normally IT engineers call a dump file, even if you are able to extract the data from an Excel file and use it in our algorithm, it's a great, it's possible today. We have got all these integrators which are which work with all these data, and you can create the solutions which solve the problems. Okay, so this is, as a practitioner, I have seen over last so many, or last decade, or particularly, how this data has issued data tables. Major stumbling block to creation of an IT solution has been surmounted, and that is, and this is all credit to the Indian genius, I would say. And of course, the Israelis also have a great role in this to play, and of course a few other nations. I don't want to start into
Giving
into
credit
that
to,
topic, but what
yeah.
I'm trying to say is that data data which used to be a liability has been turned into an asset, massive asset. So this used to be the biggest challenge we used to have, and that problem has now been overcome. So to sum it up, what I'm trying to explain is that the artificial intelligence particularly is being used already in a great manner, in a very in a focused manner, for using for asset maintenance. And there are many programs in the pipeline to improve this further, to cover all ramifications, all areas of transportation, particularly in the railways.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Prasad. So, Mr. Rao,
Yeah, please.
yeah, I was wanting to ask you, was this technology, the people did not give attention, the previous governments, or it is the government which is putting focus on all these things?
Yeah, let us go to the crux of the industry requirement
Yeah.
first. To take further the discussion of what Mr. Prasad was saying.
Yeah.
Now, railways, for that matter, any industry is wanting to come out of time-based maintenance to predictive maintenance. They want to foresee the things in advance, because instead of spending a lot of resource and money, we are still not very certain in a conventional time-based schedule maintenance. Now we
Mhm.
want to generate a predictive system. So what is the way out now? What are we and where are we now? If you look in an Indian railways context or any railways context, now we have a localized solutions, like we have solutions like flat wheel detectors. There are a lot of sensors. When I say sensors, there are not sensors not now integrated to the internet connectivity. Henceforth, the use of these sensors not realized, based on your data analytics. But we have a good number of sensing systems, right? Flat wheel detection, and you have end-on telemetry system in railways, and especially in DFCC. and distributed power control system. Locos being kept apart in a train formation, and the power is being controlled wirelessly. That is possible. That means we have a good setup. Sensors and communication systems are in place. But the IoT requires the internet connectivity of these devices to integrate. Once you connect, then that becomes an IoT solution. Now you can work out once you start recording all these parameters, which on data also, if you take any Indian railway station, probably equipment called data logger is there, which records all the events happening in a yard, whether the reception of the train, taking off a signal, all these events are recorded. But analytics part, because there are not many number of sensors to capture what is happening in the track machine, the current travels. If there is a continuous record over a period, probably I can assess the condition of the point machine well in advance and attend to it. So that's how, if these localized recordings let's be integrated, and that recordings be further analyzed, right? You can certainly draw a lot of uh, in-depth ideas how to find out the solutions.
So, Mr. Rahul, one more question. I wanted to understand: is cybersecurity related to artificial intelligence and IoT, or it is a different subject?
When any device is connected to the internet, probably that is there. But we have a proven technologies. If you go to Europe, SNCF is in a Europe metro rail context. They're entirely doing predictive maintenance. They have already well-placed IoT-based solutions. They are using artificial intelligence extensively. For that matter, even our metros are now capable to go with the driverless operation. Delhi in last phase they introduced driverless operation. That means some automation and intelligent decision making inherently happening. We are not distant apart. Now we have to integrate the few more things to make it more result oriented.
I
I
would like
think
to,
Mr. Prasad would
yeah,
like
yeah,
certainly
yeah.
add to it. Even a
Prasad,
good
Mr.
understanding,
Prasad, I'll
Bangalore
ask one
Metro is
question.
also
Sorry.
straight
No, no,
away
Yeah.
equipped to
no,
go.
no. Just to supplement what Sanjay has told about IT and OT, there's just a small clarification. Cybersecurity is extremely important, and
Mhm.
for that we must appreciate that there is something known as the IT environment, which is basically the sensors or the equipment which captures data, which where the databases, servers and all, which is houses the all this equipment, and the OT environment. The OT is the operating environment where the actual the what you call as the front users use the machines or the desktops and so on. So this integration of the IT and the OT is to be perfect, and this is where the cybersecurity breaches take place. So now we have got a very there is some echo.
Eco, I think.
Yeah. Now today we have solutions wherein the integration of the IT environment, that is the machine and its associated components, with the OT, that is the user, which will seamlessly integrate the two so that there is no breach when this is being used. So that is exactly the focus of cyber security. And as Sanjay was telling, this is already being done in Europe to ensure the driverless train operations, and already in our Delhi metro we already
Delhi
introduced
Metro
a
is also.
driverless one corridor, and it's
I
going to
was
be
coming to the next question,
yeah, and
sir.
in Bangalore metro also we are going to have
Bangalore
driverless.
Metro also driverless is going to
Yes, we
start,
are
I
planning for
think.
driverless
Yeah,
trains in this train, and here this is the and there's already a protocol in place, which is a standard is in place to integrate at to both the IT and the OT environment to ensure that there are no breaches and
yeah,
these trains are run safe. And
yeah,
you have seen it abroad, you have seen it in Singapore, you have seen everywhere. So there, the driver is only a notional entity who has got really no control over the operations of the train. So the same thing is going to happen. Already happened in India in the Delhi Metro in one line. I think it's line 6, if I'm not mistaken, and then it's going to happen in Bangalore very shortly.
yeah, bang, yeah. Pankaj ji, last 5-6 minutes, are there some views? And then one last question.
Okay. I overheard both the speakers and I fully agree and endorse their points that yes, AI is the need of the hour and we are already gearing it up. and customer expectations are already set on a very high level, as I stated earlier. Another important aspect is that with AI we are actually dealing with the uncertainty, because with AI, based on the information available to us, we are now in a better position to take better, or I can say the right decisions to mitigate the instances, improve efficiency, and increase the user experience. As we talked about the driverless train operations, so definitely these things are possible with the help of IT, AI. IoT is, when we say IoT, we have the entire infrastructure already in place. Now, along the railway tracks, we have a complete OFC network up and running. So we have the necessary infrastructure in the place. Will of the government is there to implement all those technologies, latest solutions, and everything. Recent reference to that I would like to state is that government of India is already planning to modernize 50 railway stations of the country. So that's really a tremendous step forward, and to give the users experience of an airport like feel while boarding or deboarding from a railway station. So that's what the trend today is, and that's what the younger generation is looking forward to. The, you can say, the biggest competition to the Indian Railway is coming from the civil aviation side. That's what Railway is trying to mitigate that, so that they can bring the passenger traffic on the rail network compared to the aviation. Though it is both a balanced approach we have to take because of the time frame and everything. In terms of predictive maintenance and everything, people are looking for in as infra has been developed quite a lot by implementing the DFCC networks. So a lot of passenger freight traffic is already diverted onto those networks, and track is available for augmenting the passenger experience by running the trains either faster or introducing more trains in the network, same network. So capacity is being enhanced out there. So things are improving quite a lot, and focus of the government is there. One point I would like to cite, which Mr. Prasad said initially, that there is no shortening of the process. The objective is not to shorten the process. We have to run that journey on the wheels, but we have to ensure that by implementing the right devices, right solutions along the track, along the network, we should be in a better position to predict the changes or the maintenance activities, steps we need to take to ensure that we commit or adhere to the time frame that is defined for that process. The process time should not increase at any cost. So that's what our understanding is, that with AI we should now be in a position, maybe in another 1 2 years or 3 years, we should be in a better position to implement all those things along the network. And once the bullet train also comes into India, and RRTS being operational by next year, expected as expected. So things are going to be different. Like with the advent of, with the introduction of metro operations in the year 2000, people started feeling differently, and now they are accustomed to the metro travel. So same thing is supposed to come with the implementation of the RRTS network and the bullet train network. India has a big vision to be on the high speed front in terms of the world map. Let's see and hope for the best.
Okay, so the last question before we make the closing remarks, Mr. Prasad, I wanted to understand if by this IoT, AI, and ML, will there be any, because I'm from an HR background, human resources, will there be any employment opportunities for the new people in this industry?
Certainly, there is a there is
Because
also,
everything will be
yeah,
driverless and robots will be there. So will the manpower will be required?
of course it will be replied. You see, uh, the only caveat here is that reskilling should also be welcomed by the recruits. You see, the new recruits have no problem. They will come with skills already acquired by them during the college or
Yeah.
technical training and so on. But the existing employees, they have to reskill themselves, and absolutely, I have no doubt about it, because railway persons have always shown the resilience and the ability to pick up knowledge, to pick up skills as they go along. And as one of our panelists was telling, even you see, so in the COVID times, the people of this country, they have embraced work from home so beautifully. Everybody,
Yes.
even everybody, at all people, at all ranges, So I don't think that, I don't foresee any issue from HR point of view of any threat to the livelihood or career or anything of that. That's what happening to the employees. Of course, yes, that caveat which I said is that the willingness to adapt and the
Adapt.
willingness to learn, that should be always there, and that is there. So there's absolutely no need to have any apprehensions on this count, in my personal opinion.
Oh, great. Thank you. Mr. Rao, your opinion on the HR training or new people if you are looking out for in this, the future of IoT and AI?
I rather have a different opinion. What I
Okay.
say is we are only trying to address the inefficiencies involved in the system by switching over to the better technology.
Yeah.
If you look at the only one side, you may attrition rate could be there, or you maybe
Yeah.
lay off few employees. But on contrary, when you introduce new technology like IoT based devices, I need people, I need engineers, I need technicians to deploy it, maintain it, develop, right?
Mm, mm,
Analytics, data scientists. There's a huge scope I generate. So let us not get in a negative sense. This rather generates a lot of employment, a
yeah.
lot of scope for industries, companies, small scale industries, because now I am going to use more and more number of components, and which requires not high level skills. As Mr. Prasad said, now we need people with a little more better skills. Yeah,
Correct.
these set of people we need, right? And that promotes a good environment and good opportunities for the investment for small and medium scale companies. It's a brilliant opportunity. You should also look at the employment by these organizations, not an rail industry alone. Industry consists the
Of
Indian Railways and the partner companies who are
yeah.
suppliers, manufacturers, all associated people. If you look and take a global view, certainly it will enhance the employment in every area, including the HR sector. We, as since number of people grow, you need more people to handle HR side as well.
Yes.
So there is very prospective, future.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rao. Very positive view from my side, I heard. So, Mr. Pankaj, you can make the.
I fully endorse the views of both the speakers. What I would like to add over here is that a person has to ask this question to himself or herself: how routine is my job? The moment he is trying to get an answer, he'll get to know where exactly he or she has to move forward. If the job is routine, definitely AI is going to replace that job. But one has to be really at a level where he needs to upscale him or her on a continuous basis so that he keeps the trend with the technology. As an example, I would like to say the world economy was agriculture based economy. We shifted to industrial economy in 70s. So it led to a great depression at one point of time where people felt a big change. But later on, we adapted to that. Then came the IT industry revolution, where people started adopting the IT's technology. Until COVID hit us hard, we were not practically, or you can say the population of India was practically not up to that trend level, and they catched up with the technology at such a short time, a short notice, that they upscaled themselves and become adaptive to it now. So that's what the main thing is, that technology is going to change the scenario. It's not going to take away the job. It is going to say that okay, certain jobs are now going to be obsolete. So
Mhm.
you upskill and upgrade to a new technology or new platform and learn new skills. So that's what the change is, and that's what the motto of every person is, that you should keep on moving with the time. So I'm really positive about this thing, that the technology is going to bring a lot of advancements and developments for the industry, for the nation, and everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pankaj. Mr. Sanjeev, your closing remarks or end of some last points if you have missed out.
Yeah, to sum it up, actually, it is nice to hear from both the speakers from a very different perspective and greater inputs. I really agree on most of the points. It's a very fruitful discussion. And to tell you about how Indian Railways looking at it, we are now investing as an organization also a lot into this AI, and human resource on Indian Railways also being trained and we established a center of excellence to further promote and show our interest. So now railways are eager to look for, looking for a AI-based or IoT-based or technology-based solution for that matter. It's a great time for all the private players to come forward and do research. And we start recently issued a innovation policy from Indian Railways also to encourage startups who can invest now in their research in rail pertaining to rail industry. These are the beautiful happenings and favorable to all these AI adoption. It's a great opportunity for everyone.
Yeah. Mr. Prasad, your comments or closing remarks?
Yeah, it was wonderful to be with all of you today, and also our audience must have, I'm sure, imbibed some of the points which we were trying to put
Yeah.
across. I think we are living in very exciting times, and the future is what I see, that the travel experience will
Will
become
change.
much more beautiful and much more predictive with artificial intelligence. So you
Intelligent.
can choose and make sure that your choice is always correct. So to
Correct.
that extent, you are kind of dummy proofing, or making sure that your chances of going wrong are minimalized or minimized to the least. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a wonderful era ahead of us.
Mm.
And I'm sure that in this great country, the railways will always have a very, very significant role. And
To be.
whatever you may say, there are huge challenges, yes, from the not only from the aviation sector, but also from the inland waterways, from also from the other coastal shipping, which is the Mala, which they're talking about, and so on and so forth. But still, with railways, and railways are adapting to the changes, and railways have always been very resilient. In fact, just to remind all of you youngsters, the railways were the first to introduce computerization way back in the 80s. So
It is correct.
we all know that. So the
Yeah.
railways have always been at the forefront of technology, and I'm sure that these challenges and railways will overcome, and railways will certainly deliver and make sure that the travel experience for all our esteemed customers and all our other stakeholders is much more comfortable, and they will be, the railways will be much richer for that, and so will be the experience of all the customers who are using our system. And that's from my side.
Mm. Mr. Pankaj, your last views?
Uh, Pertaining to the closing remarks, I would like to say that it's my esteemed pleasure to be with such an esteemed jury panelists and to share or exchange their views. I do agree that it's now the time for the Indian industry to take a quantum leap jump and move forward. Industry is really looking forward to, as Mr. Rao has said, that government of India is already taking a lot of initiatives to look for IoT based solutions. So here I can say that we should take or handhold the Indian MSME industry also. Definitely we need a lot of information and data, and IoT or AI is one of the mode to collect the data, but there are a lot of other options also which can be useful in collecting the data. As Mr. Prasad said, that a lot of data was sitting in the books or the registers on the railway tables, and now in the form of an Excel, it is really a useful data which can be an asset going forward. So we should bring our the industry along with us on the table, so that because they are going to be the real beneficiaries to bring the change to the nation. Technology definitely remains on the top layer, but yes, we should think small as well as the big, all the aspects of the industry to welcome the change for the industry. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Mm. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure moderating this discussion or the panel discussion on IoT, AI, and ML.